Sleep is important. Please fucking sleep. Yeah, please sleep. It's important. Please do that. Yeah. So, hello and welcome back to the next episode of the Self-Development with Tactics podcast. And I'm really gonna, looking forward for this episode because I like the summary, I like the information from the summary, and I actually see that we're actually going ahead quite fast. I'd say we're actually at chapter 8 of 13, 16. Quite halfway through. Quite really halfway through. Interesting. Very great. No. Chapter 10. Chapter 9. Chapter 8. But yeah, I think we'll just start ahead with chapter 8. Cancer, heart attacks, and a shorter life, sleep deprivation, and the body. Which is fairly interesting for me, because I totally myself saw the negative things about sleep deprivation on my body, actually feeling more exhausted, having not such a great or such a big breath somehow. I wasn't quite able to breathe, that normally, I'd say. It was just very, very amazing in a negative way. Totally negative way. It was just a little bit feared, actually just really hurting myself. But yeah, so I think I just gonna read. Yeah. So sleep deprivation disrupts the normal function of many psychological processes, likely contributing to chronic diseases. At a high level, sleep deprivation triggers the sympathetic nervous system, fight or flight response, and disrupts hormonal balances. This also implies inversely that sleep is necessary for the normal maintenance of physiology. Is it physiology? Oh, I just read it the wrong way. The first thing was actually also physiology. Physiology. Is this your body? So psychology is the mind. Is physiology then the body? The body? Or is it just a writing mistake? I don't know. So many of the population studies cited in the book Why We Sleep are correlational. People who sleep less are more likely to have heart disease, even after controlling for many other factors associated with heart disease. Other than a causative explanation, lack of sleep causes heart disease, the causality could work the other direction. Non-control factors that predispose people to get heart disease, a high baseline level of stress, also reduce sleep. I do think so. If I've read that just really, really fucked up, I think I'm gonna just explain what I think they said. So I actually do not really know. I think they just are debating whether it is like you're getting heart diseases because of things that actually lead you to sleeping less, which may be just anxiety and or stress and or just bad eating habits or whatsoever, or if it is actually like you're getting heart disease because just you are not sleeping enough. You know what I mean? Just because of the reasons why you're not sleeping, or because actually of you not getting enough sleep. Very interesting. Haven't thought about this actually. Haven't really thought about this. To address this, experimental studies attempt to link lack of sleep to a middleman disrupted physiological state, which itself is causative for the disease. For instance, lack of sleep increases blood pressure, which the medical consensus believes is causative for heart disease. Actually, because I'm just seeing this now, it seems to be like. So I don't really know. I also do not assume, but I think I've read this. I think. Which is actually bad eating habits, so eating just food that's very, very unhealthy, seems to be the number one reason why people die. The number one reason. why people die. Quite like, okay, if it is really because of the, bad eating habits, or speak just, eating just bad food or unhealthy food, or is it because of or because of the effects the bad eating habits have on your body weight? Like, through your body weight being increased, or also I think maybe through both. I'm sorry. Maybe I think through both, because, through bad eating habits, I do think that your blood pressure already rises if you do have too much cholesterol, or, whatever it is. But also, I do think that if you, just are completely overweight or even obese, that your blood pressure is very, very high, which then leads also, as they say, to heart diseases. So maybe it's even both. But the fact is, this is also something somebody else told me, bad eating habits, so eating bad food or unhealthy food, seems actually to be the number one reason why people die in nowadays world, which is just, something to think about, really. The smoking gun experiment, would be to randomize people into normal sleep and low sleep groups for years, and then observe the rate of disease. However, this is impractical, or hard to run very long studies like this, also impossible to double blind, and likely unethically, if low sleep is already believed to cause severe disease. Which was actually also one of the things I was just thinking, like, how could you do this? Could you really do this with human beings? Because you just know there are just severe health issues correlated to not sleeping enough. So could you actually do this? I don't fucking know. The heart disease, sleep deprivation has... What the fuck? I spit all around here. Sorry. Heart disease, sleep deprivation has a number of effects related to CHD. I don't know what CHD is. Activates the sympathetic nervous system, leading to increased heart rate, increased vasoconstriction, which is increased blood pressure. Thank you for actually giving me such complex words. Increased cortisol. Is it cortisol or cortisol? I don't know. And increased atherosclerosis, especially of coronary arteries. I hope you know what this means. Through hormone signaling decreases HDL, good cholesterol, and growth hormone promotes recovery of blood vessel endothelium. A population study showed 45% increased risk of developing CHD, which is the activation of the sympathetic nervous system. So practically, as they pointed out before, the flight and fight response. Through increasing or interesting daylight savings time is a natural sleep experiment that typically increases or decreases sleep by 1 hour. When the clock moves forward, there is a significant spike in heart attacks and number of traffic accidents. So only by 1 hour, if I'm getting this right. And also diabetes. Sleep deprivation reduces insulin responsiveness, which causes hyperglycemia. In an experiment, after 4 hours of sleep a night for 6 nights, subjects were 40% less effective at absorbing a standard dose of glucose. Unfortunately, I've done this as well. Actually, having fucking 4 hours of sleep for 5 nights? 6 nights? I don't fucking know. This more and more shows me that I shouldn't do what I've been doing. But I still somehow know, okay, I'm still gonna do what I just think that I have to do. Like doing my posts and doing what I'm doing right now, and or just doing other things. Incredibly difficult for me. Really, really difficult for me. But yeah. So in a population study, those sleeping less than 6 hours a night showed higher rates of T2D, which after controlling for body weight, alcohol, smoking, etc. what is TDD? I don't know. Obesity and weight gain. Sleep deprivation reduces leptin, makes you feel full, and increases adrenaline, makes you feel hungry. So wait. So sleep deprivation reduces leptin, which makes you feel full, and reduces leptin. So okay, I see. I just thought why? What the fuck? Okay, increases. Oh, I see. And this is you're feeling less full, and you're feeling just very, very hungry, which is double. Which doubles the effect on you actually being getting heavier and heavier and heavier. Wow. Because I always thought I've read this so often that you should actually get obese or overweight by not sleeping enough. And I always thought how could this be true? How could this work? But now I see actually it works somehow, and it makes sense. If this is really the truth, which I assume it is, I don't know, I hope it is, then it would totally make sense that people get overweight when they do not sleep enough because of these chemicals. Then the increases endocannabinoids, reduces pain sensation but increases appetite, also released in runner's high, which increases eating. Do you know the runner's high? If you do not know, this is basically a phenomenon. Do you say it like this in English? Phenomenon? I don't give a fuck. So this is actually just an effect quite often marathon runners get. I think if they're running a certain amount of time, or if they're just a certain amount of exhausted quite, they get the runner's high, which is basically, like they pointed out, an increase in endocannabinoids, which is actually also the thing that's in weed, that's actually then making you feel less pain. I don't know, I quite feel like, or I quite am interested if the cannabinoids, because the cannabinoids, if they're actually just named after cannabis, or if cannabis actually named after the endocannabinoids. Because I don't know. Would be interesting. So it reduces pain, which is totally great for actually you, having not as much pain because you're running for such a long distance. And the fucked up thing is that you have increased appetite, which is a little fucked if you're just really running. And makes you feel lethargic, which makes you less likely to exercise. In an experiment, subjects were randomized into a normal 8-hour sleep group and a low 4-hour sleep group. Both groups were carefully monitored and controlled for physical activity. The low sleep group ate 300 more calories each day, even after just 4 days of sleep deprivation. The low sleep group was also more prone to overeating each meal, consuming 303 more calories in snack foods after a meal. Wow. One might argue that decreased sleep naturally causes more calorie burn, but an all-nighter actually consumes only 147 more calories than sleeping. Sleep is metabolically more intense than you imagine. I guess so. I don't know. If you just imagine, this is, when you're sleeping is practically the only time where your body is quite actually able to somehow regenerate and to somehow maybe even rest a little bit. And if you're taking all the time from your body, or at least a pretty big amount of this time from your body, it totally makes sense that you're feeling not good, that something is wrong, and so on. Sleep deprivation also disrupts the linkage between the regional prefrontal cortex and the primal appetite center in the brain, similar to emotional control in the last chapter. Finally, if you're on a diet and under sleep deprivation, 70% of weight loss comes from lean body mass, compared to under 50% with plentiful sleep. Sorry, Gonna read this once more. So finally, if you're on a diet and under sleep deprivation, 70% of weight loss comes from lean body mass. I think I see. Compared to under 50% with plentiful sleep. What do you wanna tell me? I don't quite understand this. The reproductive system. In males, sleep deprivation decreases testosterone, testicle size, and sperm count. Experimentally, this is acute. 5 hours of sleep for 1 week ages a man 10 to 15 years by testosterone. Fuck. And if you just know a little bit about... Sorry. There it is. But if you know a little bit about testosterone and so on, it is the male growth hormone, which means, because I'm just thinking, because I've also read that, you need sleep to actually generate your body, or to actually build up muscle and so on, which makes sense to some degree, because if you're feeling like, you need sleep because you have to regenerate and because your body has to build something, and which is basically after the workout and during the workout, which is an assumption a lot of people make, that you're actually building muscle during the workout, which is total shit. You're, building the muscle afterwards. And they just pointed out, okay, you eat more, which is great for people like me that are quite, skinny. Through actually not sleeping, they eat more, they gain more weight, they build more. But if your growth hormone, so your testosterone, is very, very quite, decreasing and inclining, is it inclining? Then you're fucked. You can do whatever you want, you can eat whatever you want. If your testosterone isn't there, I think, then you won't build anything, I guess. Or, even though not, or just not as much. Beyond libido, testosterone also governs bone density and muscle mass. As I fucking said. In females, sleep deprivation reduces follicular releasing hormone necessary for conception, increases abnormal menstrual cycles, and had more issues with infertility. Your face is rated as more attractive and healthier after 1 night of short sleep. Why? Fucking why? But yeah. The immune system. Sleep deprivation reduces your ability to ward off infectious diseases. Totally true. In an experiment, subjects exposed to low sleep over 1 week were 50% likely to develop a cold when exposed to rhinovirus versus 18% in normal sleep. Amazing. But fucked up. Sleep deprivation reduces the immune response to flu vaccines or whatever by over 50%. And sleep deprivation reduces circulating levels of natural killer cells. To be honest, after 1 week of actually not sleeping enough, I feel not good. I totally feel not good because I actually feel like, my body just, needs more power. And I also feel like that I'm often somehow getting, in terms of my body, in terms of me being not ill, I totally somehow feel like, there's something coming up, or I do not feel as good as I could. Like, in terms of illnesses and, whatsoever. Cancer. Sleep deprivation increases inflammation, which increases cancer severity, promotes angiogenesis, promotes liability of cancer cells leading to metastasis in German, metastasis, down-regulates M1 macrophages and up-regulates M2 macrophages, both. Changes increasing cancer risk, It's unclear why increasing inflammation like this decreases response to infectious disease agents in the last bullet point. Mouse models show increase in speed and size of cancer growth when sleep deprived. Population studies show a link between nighttime shift work and risk of cancer, like nurses and pilots and whatever. Denmark now pays workers comp to a woman with breast cancer after doing night shift work in government-sponsored jobs. Wow, very nice of them. You know, a lot of just governments wouldn't do this. But yeah, aging, telomere shortening is associated with sleep deprivation. I don't know what this means. Gene expression profiles are distorted under sleep deprivation, though I see this as a natural consequence of the vastly different physiology in sleep deprivation and not alarming in itself like the author presents, which is totally great. And I'm gonna point this out. You have so many opinions in my video. You have the opinion of the author writing the book, the author of writing the summary, mine, yours, and potentially the people in the comments. Five different opinions, which is great, enormously great. Evolutionary, these responses might promote survival as follows. In caveman days, times of low sleep may mean conditions that threaten survival, though so weather, hostility with another tribe, anxiety from disease, hoarding calories, increasing the sympathetic nervous system and decreasing during this time might promote short-term survival. Makes sense. Makes sense. You know, that you somehow feel like, you know, if you're sleep deprived, you just have to eat more to actually somehow, fool your body for things that might come up. Makes sense. Because you somehow lose a lot of energy by actually not sleeping, because you can't regenerate. And I think the body just wants to increase the amount of energy you have through the calories you take in. The thing there is, you can totally see that our bodies are so intelligent. We adapt to every fucking thing. Whether we are living near to a volcano, whether we are living in the Sahara, whether we are living just in the mountains, and there's, very high just air pressure, whether we are having no sleep, whether we are eating only bullshit, whether we're eating nothing, our body just adapts. No matter what. And this is amazing. Fucking amazing. How and why we dream. Very interesting, which is part 3. And I now think should I actually... Yeah, I start with this because it is very interesting. And maybe I can give you something in this. Loge, I'm gonna read. So part 3, how and why we dream. The next portion of this Why We Sleep book summary covers REM sleep in particular and the benefits of the mysterious phenomenon of dreaming. Chapter 9, routinely psychotic REM sleep dreaming. Most vivid dreaming happens during REM sleep, though NREM sleep has some vague, or I think it's vague, VAGUE, non-vivid dreaming. During REM dreaming, your visual, motor, memory, and emotional areas of the brain are active. Your prefrontal cortex, governing rationality, is muted. Which basically means for me, the part of your brain that's somehow into logics and somehow is kind of there for you being rational and being like, does this make sense or does this not make sense, is muted, isn't there. And so all the creativeness and all the creativeness are free in your head and can do whatever they want. In the ancient past, Egyptians and Greeks wondered if dreams were divine gifts from gods. Freud helped dispel this, firmly centering it within the human brain. Freud considered dreams as evocations of repressed desires, and he built a movement around interpreting dreams as such. The critical flaw was its unprovability. The interpretation methods were so subjective that different approaches yielded different results, and there was no strict hypothesis outcome that was testable. So a hypothesis is an outcome that was testable. Furthermore, the interpretations were horoscopically vague, thus seeming full of significance but not providing any practical insight. Your dreams, or an example, your dream is reminding you of how little time you have to do all the things you want to do. It should be an example. Do dreams replay events of the day, or do they reflect our emotional concerns? Only a small fraction, 1 to 2% of dreams reply the literal events of the day. A great fraction, which is 45%, reflect our underlying emotional worries we have while awake. Interesting. It may be possible to predict what you're dreaming about through fMRI. MRI is magnetic response. Internal, and F, I don't fucking know. To build a profile of your brain, you look at different images while awake, and the fMRI signature is captured. Then as you dream, your dreaming fMRI is matched to your awake fMRI profiles, predicting what you're currently looking at while dreaming. Chapter 10, Dreaming as Overnight Therapy. REM sleep function blunts the emotional pain of a memory. Dreaming about the upsetting content itself or its emotional themes is necessary to have this emotional blunting effect. REM sleep by itself does not. In REM sleep, norepinephrine is reduced to zero, which possibly allows the brain to process upsetting memories in a safe brain environment. Wow. So brain basically just cures itself. Somehow. So just psychological. PTSD patients have elevated norepinephrine in REM sleep. They also have recurring nightmares where the pain of the memory does not fade. Either dreaming or wake. Reducing norepinephrine levels pharmacologically reduces PTSD severity in a subset of patients. In an experiment, subjects were shown a series of emotionally triggering images to separate times. Separate by 12 hours. One group saw set 1 before sleeping and set 2 after sleeping. The other group saw both in the same day without sleeping, set 1 in morning and set 2 at night. The former group reported much less emotional disturbance upon seeing the second time, also with less amygdala activity under the fMRI. Which means, if I'm understanding this now correctly, they just seen a pattern or some images or whatsoever, and because they looked at them and slept, and looked at them the day afterwards, they weren't quite so disturbed about it or quite so feared about it than the people who actually did not sleep in between. Does this make sense? Is this what they say? I hope it is. REM sleep function. Reading other people's facial emotions. Sleep deprivation reduces interpretation of the subtleties of facial expressions, causing the sleep-deprived person to more likely interpret faces as hostile and aggressive. Suggestive. Kids on the autism spectrum have disrupted REM sleep. They also have issues reading people's facial expressions. Totally. They have. I know this. This function seems to begin in adults scene when kids have to start navigating the social world independently. Imagine the mistakes sleep-deprived professionals can make, like the police, medical staff, parents, if they mistake faces for aggression. Could totally be severe, especially the police, If they're shooting at you, you're just looking at them and they seem you being aggressive and they fucking shoot you. Could be the case. Maybe. I'm assuming. Totally, I'm assuming. Yeah. I don't know. But yeah, this is quite it with the episode. I hope you've liked it. I hope you've got something out of it. This actually is a position, the cuttable position, which women do not like. It seems to be a little, not ignorant, but arrogant, I guess. Something I've just really remembered by going through so many body language books and summaries and whatsoever, that this is something you should look out for. And yeah, with this being said, I love you. I wish you the best health, wealth, happiness, and success. Remember how you're gonna be remembered, so basically your legacy, and give back to the people, whether they have given you something or not, doesn't fucking matter. My God.